The story of the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of those fascinating journeys through American coinage that collectors and historians alike find irresistible. This small copper coin, minted at the dawn of America's entry into World War II, carries with it not only a face value of 1 cent, but also a legacy of artistry, national pride, and in today's world of numismatics, significant monetary value. To understand the worth of this coin, which today can reach as high as $3,900, it is important to look into its origin, its design, the conditions under which it was produced, and the many reasons why collectors continue to chase it. The year 1941 was a turning point in history. Although the United States had not yet officially entered World War II, the clouds of conflict were looming heavily. Domestically, the country was emerging from the long shadows of the Great Depression, and the economy was beginning to pick up steam thanks to wartime production and industry mobilization. The U.S. Mint, like every other branch of government, was preparing for increased demands. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series, which had already been in production since 1909, remained one of the most familiar and widely circulated coins of the era. The no-mint mark version of the 1941 penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on its coins at that time. This detail, though simple, has made the coin especially identifiable to collectors today. The design of the 1941 penny is a continuation of Victor David Brenner's classic motif. On the obverse side, the bust of President Abraham Lincoln faces right, his sharp features reflecting Brenner's vision of Lincoln as both a leader and a symbol of resilience. Above his head arches the familiar phrase, "In God we trust," a motto that had by then become a staple on American currency. To Lincoln's left is the word liberty, a subtle reminder of the ideals that the United States stood for, especially significant given the political climate of the early 1940s. The date, 1941, sits to the right of the portrait, with no mint mark below it, indicating its origin in Philadelphia. On the reverse side, the design known as the wheat ears reverse displays two stylized wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is E pluribus unum, the timeless motto meaning out of many one. This reverse design gave the series its nickname, the Wheat Penny, and it remains one of the most iconic designs in American coinage history. The composition of the 1941 no-mint mark penny is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which was standard. For the series before the steel pennies of 1943 were introduced due to wartime metal shortages. Each coin weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. While millions of these coins were struck in 1941, over 887 million from the Philadelphia Mint alone, the value of any particular specimen depends heavily on its condition, rarity within grading categories, and collector demand. What makes the 1941 no-mint mark penny stand out among millions is not its sheer mintage numbers, but rather the scarcity of well-preserved examples that have survived the test of time. Grading is an essential aspect when assessing the 1941 wheat penny. Coins that circulated heavily often display worn features, flattened details on Lincoln's face, and weak wheat stalks on the reverse. On the other hand, coins that were kept aside, never seeing much pocket change use, can remain in stunning condition even decades later. A coin in average circulated condition might only be worth a few dollars, but those preserved in mint state, with original luster and minimal marks, can command incredible sums. Professional grading services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, and the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, play a pivotal role here, assigning grades on a scale from 1 to 70. A 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny in lower grades is not particularly rare, but once the grade rises above MS 65, its value increases dramatically. In gem condition, these coins are highly sought after, and superb examples can be valued at nearly $3,900, especially when they exhibit strong strikes and deep original red coloring. Another element that can dramatically influence value is the presence of minting errors. While the Philadelphia Mint was generally efficient, the massive production of nearly 1 billion coins in 1941 left room for mistakes. Some examples exhibit double die obverses, where the inscriptions or parts of Lincoln's portrait show noticeable, doubling under magnification. Other varieties include off-center strikes, clipped planches, or die cracks. Collectors prize such error coins, as they are not only rare, but also visually striking. These errors can push the value of the 1941 wheat penny far beyond even the $3,900 figure, depending on severity and uniqueness. The cultural and historical significance of this penny adds to its allure. In 1941, pennies were truly part of everyday life. They bought candies, newspapers, and other small essentials, especially during a time when every cent counted. For families struggling through the transition from depression to wartime economy, these pennies were symbols of perseverance. Today, holding a 1941 penny in your hand feels like holding a piece of that era, a reminder of a world on the brink of monumental change, yet one where ordinary people still lived day to day with coins like this passing between their fingers. Collectors today look at the 1941 wheat penny not merely as currency, but as a treasure. It serves as a tangible connection to Abraham Lincoln, to American history, and to the craftsmanship of the mint. For new collectors, it is often one of the first wheat pennies they encounter because of its relatively high mintage. For seasoned numismatists, the hunt for the highest grade examples or rare error varieties is what makes this coin thrilling. When combined with professional grading, historical significance, and rarity in gem condition, the coin transforms from a simple cent to a prized collectible worth thousands. In conclusion, the 1941 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is more than just a copper coin. It is a piece of history, a work of art, and a collector's prize. Its design honors Lincoln. Its composition reflects pre-war America, and its survival into today's collecting world gives it meaning far beyond its 1 cent face value. In pristine condition, it commands up to $3,900, proving that even the smallest denomination can carry immense worth. For anyone who finds this coin in an old jar, a family collection, or a forgotten box of change, it could be the start of a numismatic adventure, one that blends history, artistry, and financial reward all in the palm of your hand. Next up, the 1957 wheat penny struck with the D Mint mark is one of the final issues in the long-running Lincoln Wheat Cent series, and it carries with it a fascinating blend of nostalgia, artistry, and collectible value. Minted in Denver during the post-war boom years, this small copper coin seems unassuming at first glance, yet its story speaks volumes about the United States in the 1950s, with a potential market value today reaching as high as $3,700 in pristine condition. The 1957 D penny has transformed from an everyday piece of pocket change into a prized collectible that tells a tale of economic prosperity, changing cultural landscapes, and the timeless appeal of American coinage. The backdrop to the 1957 D penny's creation is an America deep in the midst of the Cold War, yet also experiencing tremendous domestic growth. The Eisenhower years brought highways, suburban expansion, and consumer optimism. Pennies, though modest in value, played an important role in daily transactions. Children dropped them into bubblegum machines, families used them to pay exact change for groceries, and vending machines across the country relied on their circulation. The Denver Mint, tasked with producing a massive quantity of coins to meet national demand, struck over 1 billion 1957 pennies that year. The D Mint mark, placed just below the date on the obverse, identifies the Denver production, setting it apart from the Philadelphia minted examples which carried no mint mark. The design of the 1957 D wheat penny carries forward the artistry first introduced in 1909 by sculptor Victor David Brenner. The obverse still displays the sharp, dignified profile of President Abraham Lincoln facing right. His expression is firm, with deep lines suggesting both wisdom and perseverance. Above his head arcs the inscription, "In God We Trust," a motto that by the 1950s was more meaningful than ever as America asserted its identity on the world stage. To Lincoln's left is the word liberty, a concept at the core of the Cold War ideological struggle. To the right of the portrait lies the date, 1957, with the small D mint mark tucked just below it. The reverse is instantly recognizable. 2 wheat stalks framing the denomination 1 cent and the inscription, United States of America. Above, E pluribus unum emphasizes unity from diversity, a theme deeply resonant in a decade, marked by both national unity and the first stirrings of the civil rights movement. Compositionally, the 1957 D penny continues the series tradition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Each coin weighs 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. While copper was not yet under the intense demand it would face in later decades, these pennies were still produced with remarkable efficiency. Yet despite the massive mintage, very few examples remain in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most were heavily used in everyday commerce, suffering scratches, discoloration, and the inevitable wear that dulls the finer details of Lincoln's portrait and the wheat stalks on the reverse. The true magic of the 1957 D penny emerges in the realm of grading. Coins in average circulated condition are common and often worth little more than face value. However, specimens graded by PCGS or NGC in mint state conditions with strong red luster are in a different category altogether. The highest graded coins, particularly those earning an MS-66 or MS-67 designation, are the ones that can command thousands of dollars at auction. These coins gleam with the original coppery red brilliance they had when freshly minted, free from spotting or environmental damage. For collectors, securing such an example is both a challenge and a triumph, as only a fraction of the original billion coins minted remain in this pristine state. Errors and varieties add another layer of intrigue to the 1957 D wheat penny. Given the vast production, it is unsurprising that misstrikes and anomalies slipped through the quality control process. Doubled dies, repunched mint marks, RPMs, off-center strikes, and die breaks are among the most sought-after varieties. The 1957 D is known for certain RPMs where the D mint mark appears doubled or punched at a slightly different angle, giving the coin a distinct and collectible variation. Collectors are willing to pay a premium for such errors, especially when they are sharp and easily visible. An error coin from this year can easily exceed the $3,700 benchmark, depending on rarity and condition. Historically, the 1957 D penny marks the twilight years of the wheat cent design. Just 2 years later, in 1959, the U.S. Mint would replace the wheat stalk reverse with the Lincoln Memorial design to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This change makes the 1957 D not only a collectible piece in its own right, but also part of the closing chapter of a half-century design legacy. Collectors often prize the later wheat pennies for precisely this reason. They are both common enough to be found and rare enough in high grade to spark serious competition at auctions. Culturally, the coin also reflects the values of 1950s America. It circulated at a time when pennies were still considered useful, when children collected them in piggy banks, and when a handful of cents could buy small luxuries. Today, looking at a 1957 D penny feels like peering back into an era of soda, fountains, drive-in theaters, and the early rock and roll revolution. For those who lived through the decade, it can be a deeply nostalgic artifact. For younger generations, it serves as a window into a time when money stretched further, and the very design of a coin carried symbolic weight. Market value today reflects all these elements: historical importance, condition, rarity of errors, and collector demand. While a circulated 1957 D penny may not be worth more than a few cents, coins in gem mint state with strong red coloration can reach incredible sums. Auction records have shown prices climbing into the thousands, with exceptional examples valued at $3,700 or more. For collectors seeking to build a complete set of wheat pennies, the 1957 D is essential, and the hunt for the highest graded examples drives its desirability upward. In essence, the 1957 D wheat penny is not just a leftover piece of pocket change from the 1950s. It is a historical relic, a work of art, and a collector's prize. From its simple copper composition to its rich symbolic design, it represents both the end of an era and the continuity of American values through its depiction of Lincoln. Though billions were struck, only a select few have survived in flawless condition, and it is these coins that today command respect, admiration, and substantial value in the numismatic market. At up to $3,700, the 1957 D penny is proof that even the humblest coin can achieve greatness when history, artistry, and preservation come together. Next up, among the many coins minted by the United States in the 20th century, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark holds a particularly interesting place in history. Though it may look like an ordinary quarter to the untrained eye, its background, design, and current collectible value reveal much about the turbulent yet ambitious era in which it was produced. In an age when America was reshaping itself culturally, politically, and economically, even the smallest coin in circulation could reflect larger national narratives. Today, collectors who understand its context know that in high-grade condition, this coin can reach values of up to $3,500, making it a small yet mighty treasure in the world of numismatics. To appreciate the 1967 no mint mark quarter, one must first look at the broader coinage system of the mid-1960s. In 1965, the United States Mint made one of its most dramatic composition changes in modern history by abandoning silver for its dimes, quarters, and half dollars. This shift came as a result of rising silver prices, which had made producing silver coins economically unsustainable. Instead of striking quarters in 90% silver and 10% copper as they had for decades, the mint switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. Outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This change marked the dawn of the modern-clad coinage era, and the 1967 quarter sits squarely in those transitional years. Adding to its uniqueness, the mint also suspended the use of mint marks between 1965 and 1967. The goal was to discourage coin hoarding, which had become rampant during the silver-to-clad transition. Collectors and speculators were pulling vast numbers of coins out of circulation, hoping to profit from their silver content or rarity. By removing mint marks, the mint hoped to reduce the frenzy and encourage coins to remain in everyday use. As a result, all quarters struck in 1967, whether from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, carried no mint mark. This decision makes the 1967 quarter particularly intriguing, as it represents a rare 3-year period in U.S. history when identifying the mint, origin of coins became impossible for the general public. The design of the 1967 quarter carries forward the Washington portrait first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. Created by sculptor John Flanagan, the obverse features Washington's profile facing left, his hair tied back in a ribbon, evoking the neoclassical style that had long dominated U.S. coinage. Above his head is the inscription "Liberty," while just below his chin appears the national motto, "In God We Trust." To the right sits the date, 1967. The reverse, equally iconic, features a heraldic eagle with wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. Symbols of America's readiness for defense tempered by a commitment to peace. Above the eagle is the motto, E Pluribus Unum, and surrounding the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, and quarter dollar. Though Flanagan's design was often criticized by some numismatists for being less artistic, compared to earlier coinage, it became one of the most enduring images in American coin history, lasting until the introduction of the 50 state quarters in 1999. The sheer number of 1967 quarters produced was staggering, over 1.5 billion coins left the presses that year. Such high mintages were necessary to meet the country's growing demand for coinage, especially since the removal of silver had left people distrustful of new coin compositions. But this immense mintage also means that in circulated condition, the 1967 quarter is extremely common and generally worth only face value. Its collectible appeal lies not in scarcity of numbers, but in condition, error varieties, and the historical context of its production. Grading plays a critical role in determining whether a 1967 quarter is worth a mere 25 cents or thousands of dollars. Most examples in circulation quickly lost their original mint luster, acquiring scratches, dings, and general wear from everyday use. However, coins that were set aside immediately after minting or preserved carefully can retain their sharp detail and radiant luster. When certified by grading services such as NGC or PCGS, examples that achieve grades of MS66, MS67, or even MS68 become extremely desirable. It is in these upper echelons of condition rarity that values climb dramatically, with the finest, known specimens commanding as much as $3,500 in today's market. For collectors who seek perfection, these top-grade survivors are the real prize. Errors and varieties add further excitement to the hunt for the 1967 no-mint mark quarter. During such massive production runs, mistakes were inevitable. Popular varieties include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and even double strikes. Each of these errors makes the coin a unique one-of-a-kind collectible, and depending on severity, can greatly increase its market value. For instance, a dramatic off-center strike that leaves parts of the design missing could easily attract collectors willing to pay hundreds or even thousands for that unusual example. Beyond technical aspects, the 1967 quarter also carries symbolic weight as part of America's cultural and economic transition. It circulated at a time when the United States was deeply embroiled in the Vietnam War, experiencing the rise of the civil rights movement and undergoing cultural shifts from traditional conservatism toward new expressions of freedom in music, art, and lifestyle. A coin minted in 1967 is therefore more than just metal. It is a snapshot of a year that saw great social transformation. Each quarter exchanged hands countless times at gas stations, diners, and department stores, carrying with it silent witness to the lives and struggles of ordinary Americans. For collectors today, the appeal of the 1967 quarter lies in this blend of historical narrative and condition rarity. Though billions were made, the act of finding one in pristine gem-quality condition is akin to discovering a needle in a haystack. The fact that the mint chose to suppress mint marks adds an additional layer of intrigue, making the coin a conversation piece among enthusiasts. Its clad composition, though often maligned compared to silver predecessors, also tells a story of economic pragmatism and adaptation. Market values reflect all these factors. While circulated examples may remain common pocket change, high-grade coins certified in top mint state levels have sold for thousands. The record-setting sales demonstrate the strong demand for transitional era quarters, especially those that represent the unique 3-year period of no mint marks. Collectors are willing to pay premiums not simply for rarity, but for the history and symbolism that coins like the 1967 quarter embody. At its peak, a 1967 no-mint mark quarter in top condition can fetch $3,500, elevating it from ordinary currency to a highly respected numismatic treasure. In conclusion, the 1967 no-mint mark Washington quarter is a remarkable coin precisely because it combines ordinariness with exceptionality. On the one hand, It is among the most common coins ever minted, with billions in circulation. On the other, it is a scarce gem in pristine condition, a product of historical decisions that continue to shape coin collecting today. With its ties to the silver-to-clad transition, the elimination of mint marks, and the social upheavals of the 1960s, this quarter represents far more than 25 cents. In top grades, it achieves market values around $3,500, reminding us once again that even the most familiar objects in our lives can become extraordinary when preserved, studied, and appreciated through the lens of history. Next up, the 1967 United Kingdom 1. Penny coin is more than just a relic of everyday British commerce. It is a symbolic piece that represents the very last chapter of an age-old currency tradition. For centuries, the penny had been one of the most recognized coins in Britain, tied deeply to the nation's history, economy, and culture. Yet by the mid-1960s, sweeping changes were on the horizon as Britain prepared to decimalize its currency system. The 1967 penny stands out because it was the final year of large-scale production for the pre-decimal penny, making it not only a nostalgic keepsake, but also a valuable collector's item today. In high-grade, pristine condition, examples of the 1967 one penny can fetch up to $3,150, a remarkable leap from its original face value. To understand why this coin holds such significance, one must consider the long history of the British penny itself. The penny had been in existence for well over 1,000 years, with roots stretching back to Anglo-Saxon England. Over centuries, its design evolved, its metal content shifted, and its role in commerce changed. But the penny endured as a familiar cornerstone of the British monetary system. By the mid-20th century, however, it had become increasingly impractical. The coin was physically large, heavy for its value, and no longer aligned well with modern economic practices. Plans for decimalization, a simpler system based on powers of 10, were already underway by the 1960s, and the 1967 penny was among the last of its kind before Britain fully embraced the new system in 1971. The design of the 1967 penny is one of the most iconic in British numismatics. The obverse features the young laureate portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Mary Gillick in 1953 at the start of Her Majesty's reign. This was the first definitive portrait of the Queen to appear on coins, and it shows her wearing a laurel crown, evoking classical Roman imagery that symbolizes victory, dignity, and tradition. Around the portrait is the Latin inscription, Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina F.D., meaning Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. For millions of Britons, this portrait was not only familiar but deeply comforting, symbolizing continuity and stability in the post-war years. On the reverse, the design created by Leonard Charles Wyon features Britannia, a personification of Britain that had appeared on coinage for centuries. She is depicted seated, holding a trident in her left hand and a shield bearing the Union Jack in her right. At her feet rests a lighthouse and a ship in the background, alluding to Britain's naval power and maritime heritage. Encircling the design is the denomination 1 penny and the date 1967 at the bottom. The design of Britannia on the penny was deeply beloved, symbolizing strength, pride, and continuity, and its disappearance after decimalization marked the end of an era. The composition of the 1967 penny was bronze, consisting of 97% copper, 2.5% zinc, and 0.5% tin. Each coin weighed 9.4 grams and measured a substantial 31 millimeters in diameter. This large size was part of the reason the penny had become impractical. By the 1960s, carrying a handful of pennies in one's pocket was cumbersome compared to smaller modern coinage. Still, for collectors, the large bronze coin has immense appeal. Its broad surface allows for strikingly detailed artistry, making the images of Queen Elizabeth II and Britannia sharp and impressive, especially on coins that have survived without heavy circulation wear. The 1967 penny had an unusually high mintage. Over 655 million coins were struck that year. This was intentional. The Royal Mint anticipated that decimalization would require fewer of the old pennies, so they produced an enormous number in 1967 to satisfy demand until the transition was complete. As a result, the 1967 penny is very common in circulated condition. For years, they could be found in drawers, piggy banks, and even tucked away in biscuit tins across Britain. However, as with so many coins, the key to value lies in condition. The vast majority of these pennies circulated heavily, becoming dulled, scratched, and discolored with time. But a small fraction, carefully preserved in mint state or proof condition, retain their original sharp detail and lustrous bronze sheen. It is these high-grade survivors that command attention from collectors today. Grading is crucial in determining the market value of the 1967 penny. Average circulated coins may only be worth a modest amount, but examples graded in mint state 65 or higher by professional services such as NGC or PCGS can reach values of thousands of dollars. Proof strikes, specially made coins with mirror-like surfaces intended for collectors, are especially sought after. A flawless proof 1967 penny with pristine surfaces and fully struck details represents the pinnacle of collectability for this issue and can reach market values of $3,450 or more. Error. Coins also add intrigue to the 1967 penny. While quality control at the Royal Mint was generally strict, the sheer scale of production created opportunities for mistakes. Some examples exhibit off-center strikes, double strikes, or planche flaws. These error coins are much rarer than standard strikes and often command strong premiums at auction. For enthusiasts, owning an error coin from this transitional period is like holding a tangible reminder of the imperfections of mass production, even in a mint as storied as Britain's. Beyond its technical aspects, the 1967 penny holds tremendous cultural value. For many Britons, it is a coin tied to memory and nostalgia. Older generations remember using it to buy sweets, newspapers, or bus fares, while younger collectors see it as a piece of history that connects them to their grandparents' world. The design of Britannia, in particular, evokes a sense of national pride and heritage. Its disappearance after decimalization in 1971 left many feeling a sense of loss, as though a part of Britain's identity had vanished. Today, collecting and preserving these coins has become a way of honoring that past. The historical timing of the 1967 penny is also noteworthy. It was minted during a period of optimism and modernization under Queen Elizabeth II's early reign. Britain was redefining its role in the world after the decline of its empire, and domestically, the nation was undergoing social and cultural change. To hold a 1967 penny is to hold a symbol of Britain at a crossroads, a country proud of its heritage, yet preparing for a new monetary system that would align with the modern age. Market values today reflect the blend of history, condition, rarity, and nostalgia. While circulated examples may be plentiful, top-grade mint state and proof examples are scarce and highly sought after. These are the coins that achieve valuations of $3,450, showing how a simple bronze penny, once worth almost nothing in purchasing power, can transform into a valuable collector's treasure. For many collectors, acquiring a pristine 1967 penny is not just about owning a piece of currency. It's about holding the very last breath of a 1,000-year tradition before Britain turned the page into a new decimal era. In summary, the 1967 UK 1 penny is an extraordinary coin precisely because it represents both continuity and change. It carries with it the classical portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II, the enduring figure of Britannia, and the weight of centuries of monetary tradition. Yet it also marks the end of an era, a farewell to the pre-decimal penny. In perfect condition, its value today climbs to around $3,450, proving that even the most common coin of its time can become a treasure when seen through the lens of history and preservation. For collectors and historians alike, the 1967 penny is a bronze monument in miniature, an enduring reminder of Britain's heritage and its journey into the modern age. Next up, the 1972 no-mint mark quarter dollar is one of those fascinating coins that often surprises collectors with its hidden value. On the surface, this coin may look like any other Washington quarter minted in the early 1970s. However, the absence of a mint mark, its historical background, design, and scarcity in higher grades make it a collectible worth up to $200 in today's numismatic market. To fully understand why this coin carries such remarkable significance, it is essential to look deeper into its creation, context, and the factors that influence its demand among serious collectors. When the Washington Quarter series was first introduced in 1932, it was intended as a commemorative issue to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it depicted a left-facing bust of Washington on the obverse with the word "Liberty" at the top and the national motto, "In God We Trust" at the side. The reverse side showcased the majestic bald eagle with wings spread, clutching arrows and olive branches, a symbol of the United States' strength and pursuit of peace. The Washington Quarter proved so popular that it replaced the standing Liberty Quarter permanently, and it became one of the longest-running series in U.S. coinage. By 1972, the Washington Quarter had already been in circulation for 4 decades, and the design remained unchanged, reflecting continuity and national pride. The year 1972 was an era of economic changes and challenges for the United States. The nation had recently moved away from the silver standard in coinage, and quarters produced after 1965 were made of a clad composition instead of 90% silver. This meant the 1972 quarter was struck in a copper-nickel-clad alloy, consisting of a pure copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The transition from silver to clad coinage was significant for collectors and the general public, as it marked the end of an era when coins carried intrinsic value through precious metals. Instead, the 1972 quarter represented a modernized economy, where coins were valued for their face value and collectability, rather than metal content. What makes the 1972 no-mint mark quarter dollar so special is the absence of a mint mark on coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During this period, coins struck in Philadelphia generally did not carry a mint mark, unlike those produced in Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. As a result, distinguishing Philadelphia issues requires careful study, and higher-grade examples of these no-mint mark coins are particularly desirable. While millions of 1972 quarters were produced, very few have survived in pristine condition due to heavy circulation. This scarcity in higher grades, especially those that remain uncirculated and free from blemishes, drives up collector demand and elevates the coin's market value. Condition is one of the most important factors in determining the worth of the 1972 no-mint mark quarter. Coins that have circulated heavily often exhibit wear, scratches, and loss of luster, reducing their appeal to collectors. However, uncirculated examples graded by professional services like the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, or Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can command significantly higher prices. A well-preserved 1972 quarter with sharp details, full mint luster, and minimal marks can easily reach values around $200 or even more in competitive auctions. Beyond condition, other elements add to the rarity and value of this coin. Minting. Errors, for example, are highly sought after by collectors. Off-center strikes, double die obverses, or coins struck on defective planchets from this year can dramatically increase market value. Such minting anomalies transform a regular no-mint mark quarter into a one-of-a-kind collectible that numismatists are willing to pay a premium for. Another reason the 1972 no-mint mark quarter holds enduring appeal is its place in U.S. history. This coin circulated widely during the early 1970s, a decade marked by political shifts, economic uncertainty, and cultural change. Everyday people use this very coin for buying groceries, paying for gas, and conducting small daily transactions. Today, holding a well-preserved 1972 quarter feels like holding a tangible piece of American history, connecting collectors to a past era when physical money played a much greater role in everyday life. For coin enthusiasts, the hunt for a high-grade 1972 no-mint mark quarter is part of the excitement of building a complete Washington quarter collection. Collectors often strive to assemble coins from every year, and mint location and the Philadelphia issues without mint marks are essential pieces of the puzzle. When found in exceptional condition, these coins often become the centerpiece of a collection, admired not just for their monetary value but also for their artistry and historical resonance. The design itself deserves recognition as well. John Flanagan's depiction of George Washington remains iconic in American coinage, with its balance of simplicity and strength. The reverse design with the eagle reflects the ideals of liberty and power that the United States has long embraced. Even though the design was eventually replaced in 1999 with the launch of the 50-state quarters program, the original Washington quarter design still holds nostalgic and artistic appeal for collectors worldwide. Today, the market for rare coins continues to grow as more people discover the hidden treasures in their pocket change, old collections, or inherited boxes of coins. The 1972 no-mint mark quarter is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can possess extraordinary value. While millions were minted, only a fraction survive in pristine condition, and those that do can reach values as high as $3,200 depending on grade, rarity, and demand. For collectors, finding such a coin feels like striking gold, not because of its metal content, but because of its historical, cultural, and numismatic significance. In conclusion, the 1972 no-mint mark quarter dollar is more than just a piece of change. It is a slice of history, a collector's gem, and a valuable asset in today's coin market. Its lack of a mint mark ties it uniquely to the Philadelphia Mint, while its condition, rarity, and potential errors contribute to its desirability. With a market value of up to $3,200, this coin proves that even modern clad coinage can hold remarkable worth when preserved with care. For anyone fortunate enough to discover one in exceptional condition, it represents not just money, but a fascinating story and a prized collectible that connects the past with the present. Next up, the 1983 £1 coin holds a distinctive position in modern British numismatics, celebrated for its history, design, and the extraordinary story behind its rarity in certain varieties. Introduced during the early 1980s when the United Kingdom was restructuring its coinage system to accommodate a growing economy and modern circulation demands, the £1 denomination became both a symbol of national pride and a practical monetary unit. The 1983 issue was particularly notable because it was the first official release of the £1 coin, following its approval as a replacement for the banknote of the same denomination, which had been considered inconvenient due to durability concerns. Unlike paper money, coins could withstand decades of circulation, and the UK Treasury believed that shifting the pound to coinage form would save millions in long-term printing costs. For collectors, this change was monumental, as it marked the birth of an entirely new series of pound coins with unique designs that celebrated the four nations of the United Kingdom over the years. However, what makes the 1983 £1 coin so remarkable is not only its introduction, but also the existence of an error version that has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. This specific variety, often dubbed the 1983 £1 error coin, features a reverse design mismatched with the intended obverse, resulting in a coin that should not have been minted. Such minting anomalies are extremely rare, and when discovered in circulation, they quickly became treasures. In the eyes of numismatists, unlike standard 1983 pounds, which were produced in high numbers, the error variety is scarce, making it highly desirable and commanding values far beyond its face value. From a design perspective, the 1983 one-pound coin displays a powerful symbol of national identity. The obverse side features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, sculpted by Arnold Machine, which was the official portrait used on coins between 1968 and 1984. The Queen is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece of jewelry historically tied to the monarchy. This depiction represented dignity, continuity, and the enduring authority of the British crown. On the reverse side, the design chosen for the 1983 release was created by Eric Sewell, who served as the chief engraver of the Royal Mint. It displayed the royal arms, symbolizing the strength and unity of the entire United Kingdom. The royal arms, divided into 4 quadrants, represented England, Scotland, and Ireland, along with the overall sovereignty of the monarchy. Encircling the shield was a garter inscribed with the Order of the Garter's motto, Honi soit qui mal y pense, meaning, shame on him who thinks evil of it. This powerful heraldic image, combined with the Queen's regal portrait, conveyed tradition, strength, and legitimacy, perfectly suited for the new denomination. The coin itself was minted in nickel brass, giving it a golden appearance, which made it stand out from other circulating coins at the time. With a weight of 9.5 grams, a diameter of 22.5 millimeters, and a thickness of 3.15 millimeters, the one-pound coin was easily distinguishable from smaller denominations. Its edges were milled and inscribed with Latin text, another mark of its authenticity and heritage. The 1983 issue carried the edge inscription Decus et Tutamen, translating to an ornament and a safeguard. This phrase was historically used on coins as a decorative element and as a deterrent against clipping or tampering. The coin's overall physical attributes made it both practical in daily use and symbolically significant as a new cornerstone of British coinage. The true fascination with the 1983 £1 lies in its error version, which emerged due to a mix-up at the Royal Mint. While the standard 1983 coin carried the correct pairing of the machine portrait with the royal arms reverse, a small number of coins were mistakenly struck with the 1984 obverse design paired with the 1983 reverse. This anomaly resulted in a coin that should never have existed, as the obverse and reverse belonged to different years. For collectors, minting errors are among the most intriguing aspects of numismatics because they reveal the human and mechanical imperfections behind the otherwise precise art of coin production. Unlike deliberate designs, these accidents were not meant for public release, making them much rarer than standard coins. The 1983 £1 error coin, as it came to be known, immediately became one of the most sought-after modern British coins, once its existence was confirmed. The rarity of such pieces means that only a limited number survive today, and their value reflects this scarcity. When examining the market, the 1983 £1 coin, especially the rare error type, commands extraordinary attention from collectors and investors alike. While standard issues are still found in collections and sometimes in circulation, the error coin has fetched staggering prices at auctions. Depending on its condition, provenance, and grading, the 1983 £1 error coin has reached values up to $2,500, making it one of the most valuable modern circulating coins of the United Kingdom. Collectors place immense emphasis on coins certified by grading agencies such as the NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, and PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service. These organizations provide authentication and assign a grade based on the coin's preservation state. A high-grade uncirculated or proof-like example of the 1983 £1 error can easily achieve top-tier prices, whereas circulated examples, though still valuable, may fall on the lower end of the spectrum. Regardless, even circulated pieces are worth far more than their face value, underlining the unique desirability of this coin. Historical context further enhances the appeal of the 1983 one-pound coin. Its issuance marked a significant turning point in British monetary history, where tradition met modernization. The decision to phase out the one-pound note was met with both support and skepticism from the public. While coins were seen as more durable, some people initially resisted the change, preferring the lighter and more familiar notes. Over time, however, the coin became widely accepted, and its distinctive golden color made it iconic in British pockets and purses. The 1983 error coin, existing as a hidden rarity within this broader societal transition, represents both a technical mishap and a collectible treasure. It reminds us that even in highly regulated and technologically advanced minting operations, mistakes can occur, leaving behind artifacts of great historical and financial significance. Another factor that contributes to the coin's value is the collector psychology surrounding first issues. The inaugural year of any coinage series often attracts heightened attention because it represents the beginning of a new era. Just as the first year of the Lincoln cent in 1909 or the first year of the Washington quarter in 1932 hold special significance in American numismatics, the first one-pound coin of 1983 carries weight in British collecting circles. Collectors often seek out first issues to anchor their collections, ensuring that they own the starting point of a series. This drives demand, particularly for coins in pristine condition or those with unique varieties, such as the error version. The 1983 one-pound coin also sparks discussion about monetary identity and the symbolism embedded in national coinage. By featuring the royal arms, the design reinforced the collective identity of the United Kingdom, emphasizing the monarchy's enduring role in British governance and cultural life. For collectors outside the UK, the coin offers a glimpse into British history and traditions, further broadening its appeal. Many international numismatists value it not only as a rare coin but also as a cultural artifact that captures the essence of Britain during the early 1980s. Today, the 1983 one-pound coin, particularly the error version, remains a prized possession for serious collectors. Its current market value of $2,500 reflects a combination of factors: rarity, historical significance, design appeal, and collector demand. In a market where modern coins often struggle to achieve significant premiums, the 1983 one-pound error stands out as proof that even relatively recent issues can hold tremendous value when scarcity and uniqueness come into play. For those fortunate enough to own one, it represents not just a monetary asset, but a piece of history, embodying the fascinating intersection of tradition, error, and collector passion. Next up, the 1985 Lincoln Memorial penny, struck at the Denver Mint, stands out as one of the more fascinating coins of the modern United States era. At first glance, this coin might seem ordinary, as billions of Lincoln Memorial cents were produced throughout the 1980s. However, under closer inspection, collectors have found that certain features and conditions elevate the 1985 penny into the realm of rarity, commanding market values that can climb as high as $2,700 when preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition. To appreciate the full significance of this coin, it is essential to understand its background, design, production details, and the many elements that contribute to its desirability today. The obverse of the 1985 penny carries the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's profile had already been in circulation on the cent for more than 75 years at the time of this coin's issue, yet it remained a powerful national symbol of freedom, leadership, and unity. Surrounding Lincoln's bust are the inscriptions "Liberty" to the left and the year 1985 to the right. Above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" reflects the enduring American motto. The presence of the small D mint mark, located just below the year, denotes its minting in Denver, Colorado. While the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins, only a small fraction has survived in mint state quality, making these highly collectible among dedicated numismatists. On the reverse, the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo and first introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial is rendered with intricate detail, and on well-preserved examples, even the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial is visible under magnification. The inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent frame. The design, with "E pluribus unum" stretching across the top. For most Americans in the 1980s, this design was so common that it hardly registered in daily transactions. Yet, from the perspective of collectors today, the 1985 D penny embodies a snapshot of American coinage history during a transitional period, as the composition of cents had shifted just a few years earlier, in 1982, from mostly copper to a copper-plated, zinc core. This change in composition adds an extra layer of interest to the 1985 D penny. Like all Lincoln cents minted after 1982, the 1985 D is composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, weighing in at 2.5 grams. While this modern composition was intended to reduce production costs, it also created new challenges for collectors. Zinc coins are prone to corrosion and damage far more easily than their copper predecessors, which makes surviving examples in superb condition significantly scarcer. This explains in part why the market value of the 1985 D can rise dramatically when a flawless or nearly flawless specimen appears on the market. Another factor influencing its value is the presence of striking errors. Certain 1985 D pennies display off-center strikes, doubling in the lettering, or die cracks that resulted from flaws in the minting process. These error coins often attract heightened attention as they represent anomalies within a series that otherwise produced standard coins. Collectors frequently pay premiums for these errors, especially when the flaw is dramatic and the coin remains in high grade. Even without errors, however, the 1985 D penny can fetch impressive prices if graded highly by professional coin grading. Services such as NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, or PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service. The grading scale plays a critical role in the valuation of the 1985 D penny. Coins graded MS65 or higher, with brilliant luster and virtually no contact marks, are the ones that reach values nearing $2,700. Circulated examples, by contrast, typically retain only face value or modest premiums of a few dollars, demonstrating how crucial preservation is to numismatic worth. As a result, collectors often store their Lincoln cents in protective holders or albums to prevent environmental damage and wear over time. Market trends also influence the penny's price. The Lincoln cent series is among the most widely collected in the world, and demand for specific dates and mint marks often rises when a surge of interest in the series occurs. Because the 1985 D is relatively modern, it appeals especially to beginner and intermediate collectors who want to assemble complete sets from the Lincoln Memorial reverse years, 1959-2008. In this way, the 1985 D serves as both a valuable collectible in its highest grades and an accessible entry point for those learning about the hobby. The story of the 1985 D Lincoln Memorial penny is also tied to the broader history of U.S. coinage. By the mid-1980s, the cent had already been in circulation for over a century, and debates were beginning to surface about the coin's relevance and production costs. Despite these concerns, the cent remained a staple of American commerce, and the Lincoln Memorial reverse continued to symbolize both continuity and change in the nation's monetary system. For collectors, owning a 1985 D penny in top condition represents not only the acquisition of a tangible piece of history, but also a reminder of the cultural and economic backdrop of the time. In summary, the 1985 D Lincoln Memorial penny is more than just a small piece of change. With its connection to Abraham Lincoln, Its Denver Mint origins, its modern zinc composition, and the challenges of preserving its delicate surfaces, this coin has earned a special place in numismatic study. While billions were minted, only the finest examples with remarkable eye appeal rise to the top, achieving market values as high as $2,700 today. Whether collected for its historical significance, its design, or its rarity and pristine grades, the 1985 D penny stands as a modern treasure for those who recognize its true worth.